A longitudinal skin incision of approximately 30 mm is made centered at the superior pole of the patella. A 1 to 2 cm proximal longitudinal incision is made in the direction of the fibers on the lateral border of vastus medialis with a scalpel from a position approximately 1 cm proximal to the patella. The medial blade of the both side cutter, which is 10 mm wide and 6 mm thick, is inserted into the incision of the tendon parenchyma made by the scalpel. The cutter is advanced proximally to make incisions 10 mm wide, 6 mm thick, and 55 mm long. The elevator gauge is pierced and fixed on the distal part of the incised tendon parenchyma. By tilting the gauge 45 degrees, the scale of the depth gauge can be confirmed under direct and arthroscopic views. A scalpel is then inserted 1 cm perpendicular to the handle of the gauge at the planned thickness to create a starting point for incising the posterior surface of the tendon with a reverse side cutter. The reverse side cutter is inserted into the incision and advanced in the proximal direction. Using the scale and the cutter handle as a guide, a 55 mm incision is made on the posterior surface of the tendon. A submarine cutter is used to cut the proximal portion of the QT to a length of 55 mm. High-strength suture tapes are placed at the proximal end of the resected QT in an interlocking manner. The proximal portion of the incised QT is then lifted and the incision is extended to the patella with a scalpel. At the same time, a cut is made to the same layer of the vastus intermedius muscle. Finally, the QT is separated up to the proximal pole of the patella. The suture tape and the QT are then passed through the sheath. After confirming a good fit, the sheath is fixed to the patella at 3 points using 1 omega fix and 2 1.6 mm K wires. At this point, the surgeon confirms that the cortex of the patella and sheath are parallel. The drill attachment and the electric modular handpiece are also passed over the suture tape and attached to the trephine drill. The patella bone is drilled to a depth of 15 mm and the sheath is cooled with saline to counteract the heat generated. An 8.5 mm wide bone saw is used to cut the cortex. The bone fragment is then carefully excised with an 8 mm wide chisel, completing the collection of the QTB graft.